think at the heart of this is that one of the deepest parts of the conflict is when you're in conflict and you then see yourself through, in a sense, the eyes of the conflict. You show up to yourself as something drastically often different than, less than, worse than the person that you really want to be and see yourself as. So you've got this like kind of chasm or this drama, and that, so then people always talk about the internal conflict, and I think it's like, you know, you made me feel like this, but the drama of it is now I'm seeing myself as this, and that I cannot bear, that I cannot stand, that I cannot abide by.
So how does it affect your sense of self?
Makes me feel like I don't know myself.
It makes me wonder if maybe I am crazy.
Whenever we have a conflict, I think we go through a whole array of consciousness, and one way of handling the conflict is to conceive of it as an internal conflict rather than the conflict with the person. Do you know what I mean? Because there's a part of it, of any conflict, which is about reflection on what your behavior is.
Because for me, you know, I was in 3 conflicts and 1 war. Despite all that, despite everything I've been through, being a civilian is by far the hardest thing I ever did in my entire life.
So what did
Amira,
Anyara do to trigger this conflict?
she left me waiting for her for 2 hours.
For 2 hours, okay. And what did you do in response? What was your conflict behavior?
I waited.
Anything else?
I waited.
Would you do something differently now?
Category of people in our society who possibly jump to that.
What do you think kept you from saying something at that time?
And the problem with polarization is we're so condensed in our positions and not self-reflective about
And so habituated.
So habituated.
And the minute that we hear, you know, even this, you know, we hear Glenn Beck's voice without even hearing the content, we already know how we feel.
Right.
And we already know that we're going over and we're turning the radio off.
Then like cells metabolizing or digestion or something.
Right.
Because it's that fast and that silent. But really there has to be like a cause and, like again, I think there has to be a cause and effect, or else the disgust is completely random. Like what brings you to that?
And how do you think he was characterizing you?
Oh, as a feminazi.
Okay.
He even called me that in an email later.
Okay. How did that make you feel about yourself?
No, honestly, proud. Fine.
Who did you show up as to yourself, kind of through her eyes? Who did you think you were in her eyes?
This happened recently, and this whole process of learning this, it was really humbling. I was like, God damn it. I thought I had stopped doing that.
What's the cost to you when you're put in the feminazi box and you're not viewed as the choreographer, storyteller, artist that you are?
I'm labeled a hypocrite. Like I have to stay in that small box once I'm put in there, and it's too small. I don't fit.
I mean, everyone is so against violence that it becomes violent in a way.
What do you think stopped you from doing what you're saying right now at the time, in that moment?
So there's this version of yourself that you really know, that you're really proud of, that you're really comfortable with, and then there's this sort of other version that's coming up when Jan says, "I'll do it for you." Yeah. And what happened? What are you losing, or what happens when those two things are kind of there side by side?
What is the gap between this paralyzing fear that this potential legislation makes you feel unstable and throws you back into an experience, and how you experience yourself?
I was surprised with how much more open I was, and how my horizon expanded. Something different, something more, maybe something more extreme. You know, maybe it needs to be something more extreme.
Yeah, you watch my back, I watch your back. That's our code in the military. But everyone here is like, you know, you might find 1 or 2 pockets of people working together, but the civilian code is every person for themselves.